Welcome to the Resource Update. My name is Dan, and I'm your host, based in Toronto, Ontario. Thrilled to have you on for this kickoff episode. Today, going to be covering four key areas. First, I'll tell you about myself and my experience in the space. Next, I'll tell you all about the Resource Update. Next, I'll talk about the format of the show and how it will be different from others. And finally, give you a sense of what's coming next and what you can expect. Thrilled to have you along, and let's get right into it. So first off, myself, as I said, I've been a resource and junior mining investor for the last little while. But investing for me as a whole started probably over 20 years ago. For most of that time, I've invested passively in things like banking, real estate, insurance companies, that kind of thing. You can also sprinkle in some commodity stocks and oil and gas. But the big change and the really exciting change came for me in about 2019, 2020. So kind of, right in there, right before COVID. And so in 2019, I started to look into companies and learn about the space. And then as COVID hit, a lot of interesting things that happened there, not some that weren't so great, but some of that were positive as well. And for myself, there was a positive in that I no longer had to commute in and out of the office. I was able to work from home, thankfully. But what happened there was I got back, an hour going into work and an hour coming home each day. So that allowed me to spend more time researching companies, learning more about the industry, and really just furthering my knowledge. So that's how I got into the space and haven't looked back. It started off as a hobby, and today I'd say it's a full-blown passion. And that's something that drove me to start the Resource Update. So what kind of companies do I like? They really kind of go across the spectrum. There are exploration companies, always fun and thrilling to watch, for that one big discovery hole that could really drive value. There's also prospect generators, which are a favorite of mine. They partner out projects to companies that will drill on them for them, or they'll form JVs to do the expensive drilling. I like that because in a very risky business, they take the risk that is there and they spread it across several bets. And a lot of times they have other larger companies do the heavy lifting. So really, really like that model. Then there's developers. Developers, I like particularly the ones as they're in what some have said is the golden runway. So once they've made a decision to finance the mine and to get the mine actually built, there's usually about a 1 to 2 year period in which you can invest. And as things are de-risked, the stock will start to move up the Lassonde curve again. For those new to the space, the Lassonde curve is a famous curve that you really should look up before you do anything else. And basically, it goes up right at discovery. It goes down as a trough, kind of through development and studies and PEAs and resources. And then it goes up again as they're actually bringing it online. So that's another period that I enjoy, is when a company, a development company particularly, is in that phase where they are just bringing it online, and there's a little more certainty there. I'm not saying there isn't risk. There is always a risk in mining. It's a space with lots and lots of different things happening. So never a sure thing. Moving on, there are also producers. Producers, traditionally, I haven't followed quite as much, but I do tend to like mid-tier producers just because they have less risk than a single asset producer. But they also are able to grow faster and re-rate as opposed to a much larger producer like a Barrick or a Newmont or an Agnico Eagle. So mid-tier is the space that I like, but depending on an investor's needs, all different types of producers can be good for different reasons in different situations. Finally, there's royalty companies and streamers. Royalty companies, I think, were my first love, I would say, in the space. I like them because, like prospect generators, they spread the risk. Not only do they spread the risk, but a royalty company also can scale pretty quickly with a staff of, say, 3 to 5 people. They don't have to do anything when a mine turns on other than collect the checks from the royalty. And in terms of risk, they're spreading it over a number of operators and a number of projects and a lot of times countries. So they have built in risk mitigation there. The other thing about royalty companies that's really exciting is the discovery optionality and mine life extension optionality. So they may buy a royalty for a company that is developing their first mine based on a 5-year royalty. But as seasoned investors know, is a lot of times that mine life is just an initial estimate. It might just be to get them into production. And maybe it's a 30-year, a 40-year, a 50-year mine. And maybe there's 3 or 4 other mines on the property that are similar. So that's what really gets me excited is that part of the royalty space. So that kind of covers the gambit. I would also say in terms of the metals themselves, gold and silver, of course. I enjoy looking also at the base metals and the thematics there. I'm still learning about uranium and that space and lithium and the battery metals, but very happy to continue learning there and about other commodities as well. There's lots of different ones. You think about things like phosphate, salt, anything that's mined would certainly be something I'd be interested in learning more about. I'll switch gears here a little bit, tell you about how I kind of got going and with my network. Starting out, really, I was searching for resources on how to learn more about companies and get new ideas. CEO.ca and hat tip to Tommy Humphreys. That platform really, for me, opened up a world of looking at different companies and talking to or seeing what investors had to say on different message boards and different thematics. So it was really my first step into it, and I think really helped to accelerate my learning. After that, X was another one. Was Twitter at the time. The platform's not perfect, but I would say that over the years I have met a lot of fellow investors, participants in this space, mining CEOs, IR reps. And it's really helped to accelerate my learnings and also discover new trends, new opinions, and again, the companies themselves. So those two for me really helped to get things going. And then in the last few years, I've started to attend different mining conferences, and that really brings things to a whole new level because suddenly you can talk to 10 or 20 companies or 30 companies. And so my first conference was PDAC, and I've been going to others since then in addition, and I plan to broaden that as the years go by. Over the years, I've found that I also like writing about companies and sharing what I think sometimes could be an undiscovered story or something that could bring value that the market isn't seeing. The first article that I wrote was actually on CEO.ca. And so a couple of years back, I published an article on Adventus Mining. They were developing a project in Ecuador. It was a smaller copper mine, but it had a lot of potential. So I wrote an article and I was thrilled that I came in third place. And so got a little bit of recognition for that. Interestingly enough, my thesis did not end up playing out quite as I expected. It was quite a tough market. But credit to the team there. They really brought that mine as far as they could, and then they brought in a partner who had the backing to build it. And so I think they got the best possible outcome. From there, I also have done articles on Ridgeline Minerals, which is a prospect, actually a hybrid prospect and exploration company. And so I've done a few articles on there over the years on that platform as well. And then I would say probably a year ago or so, I was trying to think of ways to get better exposure for my articles and my work in the mining space. And so I started to look around and see what the different options were. And at that point, I found Substack. And I saw that a lot of authors and people in the space were gravitating towards there. And so last fall, when I was thinking about putting together this channel, I started a Substack to kind of see how things would go. And half a dozen articles or so in, I'm quite happy with that. And so if you're a Substack subscriber to the resource update, which is theresourceupdate.substack.com, I want to thank you very much. It's been a real fun ride so far, and really appreciate all the comments and everyone reading the content and learning more. We will continue to have content on there. I plan to have that as a companion piece to the resource update YouTube and podcast. So that's not going anywhere. And so it brings us to the resource update. What will this channel be about? Late last year, with the backdrop of the market finally recovering, I would say since I started, more concentrated in the space in 2019, 2020, there was really only 2021 where the market kind of had like a mini bull market, and things were, I'd say, easier for the miners. Between 21 or late 21 and 24, things were pretty difficult. So in that time, I really used that time to talk to CEOs and talk to IR, learn as much as I could about the space, develop relationships. But late last year and through middle of last year, I started to realize that the market was looking good and that the fundamentals were lining up. And so I said to myself, if not 2026, when? Because it's been something I've been thinking about for a while, is starting up a channel, sharing with you research and interviews with different companies and participants and investors. So that's where we are. And so the resource update itself is going to be a YouTube channel, but also a podcast. And what I hope to do there is take you along for the ride. Not everybody is comfortable talking to a CEO or an IR rep, or you may be comfortable, but you may not know the right questions to ask or have time or the wherewithal to do it. So I really aim to help kickstart that side of research for you and take you along for the ride. The format is intended to be 15 to 30-minute videos, give or take. Really want to give you a chance to get to know the company, its projects, its key catalysts, but then to be able to develop a story over time. So I want to have something that you will be able to listen to on the way to work, at the gym, maybe going out for a walk, folding laundry, something that you'll be able to consume in one go. And then over time, we can develop that story arc. So my intention would be to have companies on a few times and recurring over a period of time to help kind of develop that story and watch things develop together to see what happens and if catalysts are achieved and that kind of thing. What's going to be different about the resource update? Well, I'd like to make it interactive. Starting by this video, I would ask in the comments that if you have certain videos that you would like to see in terms of companies or commodities or different types of features that you aren't seeing on channels today, then I would ask you to drop those in the comments. That would be much appreciated. Also, I intend to host companion spaces and webinars with companies and to have viewer participation there. And so to have you to be able to listen in and then also come in with your questions and participate in that way. Before I get too far, I will say that mining is a very risky place. And it's an interesting one because it's one where companies constantly require capital to develop their projects. So there are a lot of great looking pitch decks, and this is not just in mining. And there's a lot of well-spoken IR and CEOs that can tell a great story. And so what I would say to you is you do have to be careful in the space, just like any space. I am not a professional or a licensed financial advisor. And so anything that you see on this channel is really for entertainment purposes only. This is a starting point, but very much not the ending point. So what I would invite you to do is if there is a company that you enjoy or you've learned about and piques your interest on the channel, again, go use it as a starting point. Would recommend looking at the company website, reviewing their financials, reviewing their CDR filings to understand how shares originated at the company and if they continue to buy and hold shares at the management level. I invite you to reach out to management. I would encourage you to do that and to learn more. And then finally, before you make any financial decision, it's very important to talk to a financial advisor before doing so. So with that out of the way, I did want to share a few other ways that the podcast will be different. I also want to bring a little bit of personality to the interviews, and so I think there's many times the CEOs have answered a question 100 or maybe 1,000 times, depending how long they've been in the space. And so I will aim to try to bring a little bit more personality or personal touch to the interviews, try to learn some different things about perhaps how they got into the space, successes, but also failures that they've had over the years. I also intend to have interviews with industry participants as well as everyday investors. Very much, I would like to have people that you don't see on every channel so that you can see new perspectives and hear about people's experiences with their winners and again, with their losers. So those are just some of the different ways in addition to the ones that spoke about earlier. And so what's coming next? This week, I'm going to be releasing my inaugural interview with a company. So very excited about that. At the time of recording, I have a short list. And so I'm going to be reaching out to those companies and be putting together an interview to kick things off. I intend to release regular content. And so 1 to 2 videos per week is what you can expect at the start. And then over time, I hope to build that. And again, that will be a mixture of interviews with industry participants, professionals, everyday investors, and then companies as well to learn about their stories, catalysts, and so on. I'll include links to the resourceupdate.substack.com. Would love if you'd join us over there. I'll also have my X handle and CEO.ca handle. I want to thank you very much for spending the time here with me today. I'm very excited to get on this journey and start learning more about companies and bringing that to you as a viewer. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next one.